On business, public agitations against rising foreign debts have put pressure on the federal government to ensure prudent utilization of foreign loans, even as it has set up a task force on the disbursement of donor-funded projects. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning said this while addressing members of the federal legislature at a retreat in Lagos yesterday. She said donor financing, especially from multilateral bodies such as the World Bank and the AFDB, was one of the critical sources of funds for the execution of key projects in the country. To discuss this, I have joining me via Zoom the CEO of Finance with Mukhtar Mohammed. It's good to have you join us on business this time. Well, global bodies like the World Bank and the IMF continue to raise concerns over the state of the Nigerian economy year in, year out, especially with regards to the rise in debt levels. But when you consider the rally in oil prices, implicit fuel subsidies, do you think there is any chance we can achieve slimmer cost of governance and reduce borrowing pattern?
It's a difficult thing if you listen to the Minister for Petroleum, Minister for State for Petroleum, saying over the weekend that oil price is becoming like the high cost of crude oil is not good for Nigeria. So you can just look at that via your question and know that it's not doing us any good. According to the minister, ordinarily it should be doing us a lot of good. So what the minister is saying, that what we gain in one hand in terms of crude price, we lose it in the other hand in terms of paying for refined petroleum product that our refineries are not able to provide for us. So but in terms of our rising debt profile, I think if you listen to what the World Bank said some weeks ago, the IMF, they said Nigerians still have the capability to pay off their debt. So they're not so much worried about that. But in terms of what we need to do is, because if you keep on paying those debts based on the revenue that we have now, then it comes a point that we'll not be able to do any project in Nigeria without going out to borrow. So it's become a cycle of keep borrowing to do your project. Then when your income comes, your revenue comes, you use it to pay off for those debts. So it will become a cycle, and that is what the government should be trying to see how they can stop this cycle. And unfortunately, like I always say, the government are not ready to think outside the box to stop this cycle.
It's pretty disturbing if you look at it that way. Of course, some persons will say it's a tough call. We may not be able to do anything considering we've been going through this circle for a couple of years now. But some persons have preferred some solutions. They proposed strong need for major reforms in the fiscal exchange rate, trade and governance areas to, lift this burden. But considering this is a pre-election year, what sort of slate do you think the incoming administration would have to deal with?
Well, we still have 1 year of this administration, and I think we shouldn't be talking about the incoming administration yet, when we still have 1 year of an administration. That's what I feel. We want to see what this administration is able to do within the next 1 year to hand it over to the incoming administration. But if you look at where we stand now, and if it happens the way it is now to the incoming administration, it's going to be a very Herculean task for them to be able to drive the Nigerian economy with the type of debt profile that we have. But then again, you need also to look at what other things can we do at the moment. We have other things that we do, like I've said severally in your program. I think we need to be just as an asset for us to be able to map up some other things that we need to do. So we've not come to that we are using our project as asset towards building our economy base. I think that is the challenge we have. If you look at the Lagos-Ibadan road, it's a big asset, and any company that's investing into that should be able to the challenge, and most Nigerians are still worried about that. We need to do something about it, using our project as a means of collateral to gain, instead of us spending all the money we have on those projects, the PPP, with this public-private partnership. And that is what they are doing in the remodeling of the airports, and it's working, even if you say it.
We seem to be having some challenge there. Mukhtar, if you're still with us, I would like to for you to, of course, talk to us about this issue. We're talking about the rise in foreign debts. Of course, you see how the Ukraine-Russia conflict is playing out here. If you see how the shakeups we've been experiencing all over the world, not just here in Nigeria, not just in Africa, but in Europe also. How do we build a stronger economic buffer against these economic shocks? Can we, as Nigeria, can we actually build economic buffers?
As it stands now, it's difficult for us to build economic buffer, because you want to build economic buffer, you talk about your reserve. You have to build up your reserve. That means you are trying to build up another. We don't have that reserve. Presently, our reserve cannot even last more than 6 months. So if there's any challenge, we'll have issues. You just have to look at the current fuel crisis and realize that one of the excuses that have been given now is because of the problem, the crisis in Ukraine. So you see that that is even in the supply chain. Already we are having challenges with that. To build a buffer, we need to diversify. Our only buffer is oil price, and now the price is going up. But yet, because we are paying so much in terms of refining, paying in terms of subsidy for the refined petroleum product, we are not gaining from it. So building buffer as it stands now is going to be very difficult for Nigeria, because we don't have the resources, and we also remember that our debt to GDP is fine, but our debt to revenue is also a challenge. So once you have revenue challenge, it's very difficult for you to build a buffer.
So you're saying that we're in some sort of a grim situation?
We are there already. We've been there already. I mean, if you watch what the minister is saying about even in your introduction, he's looking at that public-private partnership, but he's looking at it in the area of funding from banks like African Development Bank or World Bank. But then even with those projects, you have to do your own work, and that is a challenge. You have to come up with your own side of the bargain. Unfortunately, sometimes because of bureaucracy, because of a lot of things that is not supposed to be politicking, we've not been able to achieve that. That would have been another way whereby we could be able to get soft landing or have loans for long-term projects that will be able to pay at a very reasonable percentage in a very long time. But unfortunately, because of the bottleneck, which the minister also attributed to one of those challenges. So it's more or less like a structural challenge that we have in Nigeria. Until we do those structural things that we need to do, and that is build institutions instead of building men, we'll continue to have those challenges. So we need to come up with a system, and that system is, how do we build an institution? How does this institution rule even without interference from political appointees or administrative bottlenecks? Those are the things that we need to do. Unfortunately, as it stands now, it's not something that you can actually do overnight. It's something that will take time.
I would like to continue this conversations, of course, for us to talk about the outlook for the external reserves, but we might have to leave it here for now. CEO of Finance with Mukhtar Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
My pleasure. Good morning.